Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Gian. I do hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. And welcome to 5 reasons why Chelsea will thrive under new ownership, or why the sale is a good thing, or why it's just a positive opportunity. Pick your own title, we'll see what ends up on the video. I'm going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reasons why the Chelsea fan base can feel optimistic about a changing of ownership. Especially now the Ricketts have gone as well. So settle in and get comfortable, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and allow me to tell you this video is brought to you by SPITCH. I'm having loads of fun on SPITCH. It's a fantasy football that you can pick up easily without having to dedicate yourself to the entire season. You can just play every week, and you can feel safe knowing you're actually using your football brain while playing fantasy football, because SPITCH uses Opta stats to govern player performances. It's totally free to play SPITCH. Click the link in the description to check it out. You can win money on it. It's 18 plus. You can put wagers on, and you have the opportunity to play managers from all around the world. Do check it out, mate. Genuinely, it's wicked. Just click the link in the top of the description to go check out SPITCH now and build your team. Build it. Prove your worth. Alright, then let's get into it. We're hopping into the content now, so let's start off with the first reason. And reason number 1 is controversial money. Whatever your stance is with Roman Abramovich, Chelsea have been the target by the media for a long time. Of course, we did nothing wrong. Roman Abramovich was welcomed in by the Premier League, the FA, the UK government, and they took his money most happily. And there was no financial fair play at the time. When financial fair play came in, Chelsea abided by it. They did nothing wrong. But the truth is, him being a Russian oligarch and then Chelsea just being like a sort of media or a football villain for a while from the 80s, they combined together and Chelsea were a target. The sort of Daddy Romans money and all that, we never really cared about it. But the truth is, this is an opportunity under new ownership to have a clean slate. Hello there, mate. Just a quick reminder to please do drop a like on this video, and why not consider subscribing if you're new to the content. Daily videos, of course. Cheers, mate. Especially if you look at the likes of someone like Todd Bowley's consortium. No skeletons in his closet. Now, I'm not suggesting Roman does, but off the bat, it's an opportunity to have the optics refreshed. Start again. And that can't be a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. So that's reason number 1, and let's do away with the controversy. Right, let's move on to reason number 2. Now, reason number 2 is in relation to the new ownership, so perhaps not quite why it's a good thing, but a hugely good element of it is there's no debt with Chelsea Football Club anymore, and the new buyers are coming in for a cash purchase, which means no leverage buyouts like the Glazers. None of the remaining bidders and whoever will buy Chelsea won't put debt upon the club. And of course, there's no telling if Roman would have ever have asked for that money back off Chelsea Football Club, the 1.5 billion. But him wiping it away means Chelsea is a self-sustaining big European footballing giant with no debt and new owners coming in that won't put any debt upon the club. So this kind of puts Chelsea in a largely unique situation, and a hugely positive one. Now, of course, this reason isn't totally applicable to the video theme, because it's now Chelsea are being bought. It's a positive element of the purchase rather than why Chelsea will necessarily thrive under new ownership. But ultimately, wiping away debt is a huge positive moving forward, so big green tick, ding 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 ding. Right, let's move on to the next reason number 3. Now, this is a huge positive for me as a bit of a stats and data nerd. New ownership could deliver data-driven running of the club. Now, many of the prospective new owners have all spoken about this. Of course, a lot of them coming from American sport franchises who often use data really heavily. Now, the obvious comparison is Liverpool Football Club, who don't actually spend that much, but are at the top of the tree in the Premier League in terms of performing well. That's because they know exactly what they want. It's almost like a Galactico Moneyball model. They know how their front three works, they know how their fullbacks work, they bring players in to suit this system, and it's all data driven. They look at it very closely and think, you know what? Diogo Jota, £35 million. Yes, he's not scoring loads at Wolves, but we have a feeling he will fit us perfectly because the data dictates that. And you know, the rest is history. He's just exploded at Liverpool and gone to another level. And you could argue the same thing happened with Mohamed Salah. He scored a few goals in Italy, but nothing like he did under Klopp at Liverpool, and he wasn't that expensive either. It's sensible, data-driven model purchases. Now, Todd Bowley, for example, to use him as an example again, though pretty much all prospective owners are saying it, he's very data-driven. So it basically means just less of splashing the cash on a player that you think you should have. You know, like a Alvaro Morata. He never suited us to replace Diego Costa. He cost a lot of money. Fortunately, we had Marina Granovskaya who managed to get our money back on him. Hopefully she sticks around long enough to do the same thing with Romelu Lukaku, who, by the way, is another prime example of not using positive data or not having a data-driven model to buy the appropriate player. They bought a player for the data of, oh, he scored a little goals in Europe, not, oh, he makes these kind of runs, he does these kind of pressures, he occupies this kind of the pitch, he combines really well with this type of attacker. Apparently none of that was done with Romelu Lukaku. We're just like, okay, we'll spend 100 million on him, transfer record, bang, done, mate. I am absolutely not criticising Roman Abramovich for spending money on Chelsea. In fact, I'm very thankful for it. But it's much like, you could say it's like the Glazers. They've spent loads of money on Man United, or spent Man United's money on Man United, and it hasn't worked out because they're not following a philosophy, an ethos, an idea, a data-driven model. And new ownership at Chelsea would do that. Now, it's been amazing having a sugar daddy to buy loads of players, but looking at how City and Liverpool play and work now, really, we need to follow a new model. And this is an opportunity to do that. Right, so let's move on to the next reason. Reason number 4. And this one is pretty simple. A new or upgraded stadium. Of course, Stamford Bridge's redevelopment was in the pipeline for a long time. Roman Abramovich understood how this was kind of a necessity in terms of Chelsea being the most successful club in London, of course, in recent years, and certainly in Europe. They need a stadium that represents that, or reflects that rather. And of course, it's a huge revenue opportunity there to make more money with more people in the stadium. It was an inevitability. It had to happen. Though, under Roman Abramovich's stewardship, it was paused and actually looked like it was not going to happen. Now, speculating, I think this was largely, potentially even solely down to the fact how Roman Abramovich withdrew his visa application, so he couldn't work and be in England and be at Stamford Bridge, and was probably thinking, well, if I can't even be there, it's not a priority to redevelop at the moment. And maybe there was other reasons as well. We know there was like property development reasons with, you know, things around Stamford Bridge, and originally he wanted to relocate. Regardless, what I'm getting to here is the plan was put on the back burner, maybe even stopped entirely while we were being owned by Roman Abramovich. Now, of course, new ownership, not only is it a priority, it's almost first thing on the list for the new owners. We need to make a new stadium. We're not multi-billionaires like Roman that can just spend money willy-nilly. We all work under sensible business models. We all have visas in the UK to work. We have to do a redevelopment of Stamford Bridge. Now, many of you love Stamford Bridge how it is. I certainly love it how it is. I've only been to Stamford Bridge maybe 30 times, or maybe a bit more. So I'm really excited when I go there and really like it. But if you have like a sober reflection, you can understand, yeah, okay, looking at the other big teams in Europe and, you know, indeed London, look at Tottenham and Arsenal Stadium. They are absolutely mahoosive. Chelsea probably need that upgrade, and that comes with the new owners, which means that's reason number 4 why Chelsea will thrive under new ownership. Right, let's move on to the 5th and final reason, and this is backing managers / building a dynasty. Like the big expensive signings that we enjoyed that may or may not have worked in history at Chelsea, Chelsea have also enjoyed quick changes when perhaps instant success is not achieved. And we've seen that with the sacking of managers and perhaps not being patient in terms of building a dynasty. And again, to use the example of Guardiola and Klopp, that looks like it's beneficial now in the Premier League. And not only that, Chelsea look like they have an ideal candidate in Thomas Tuchel to do exactly that, to build a long-term dynasty with a world-class manager. Now, again, not a criticism of Roman Abramovich and his era, it was a model that worked for us at the time. But many Chelsea fans reflect on certain managers with frustration of them being sacked. For example, like, you know, many would talk about when Mourinho went, many would talk about Ancelotti getting sacked, being like that was super cold, and Ancelotti's Chelsea were incredible. A lot of people thought Frank Lampard was a little bit hard done by. Granted, in hindsight, it was a good move because we got Thomas Tuchel, and Frank Lampard isn't that much of an accomplished manager. But you know, you had like an amazing winning streak this season. It was top of the league at Christmas, fired in January, and he had a really positive season in his first season at Chelsea. So although it was the right decision, many people and fans had moments where they were uncomfortable with the sacking of managers. And this isn't from a sentimental perspective, although you could say that. It's largely building a dynasty and backing a project and not having to chop and change player styles and characters all the time. No, build this ethos, build this long-term philosophy, implement the data model, and implement more academy players playing in a certain style that you start from the ground up and you end up in the first team, and you can do long-term planning, which ultimately saves you a lot of money and ultimately should bring you more success in the modern day footballing landscape. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with the 5 points? Do you enjoy this type of style of content? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to hear from you guys. Thank you to all of you for liking the video and subscribing. You're of course all welcome to subscribe. There's daily content, of course. Do check out SPITCH by clicking the link in the top of the description. Enjoy the football, friends, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.